קצת חשוך, אבל... all right.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to session number 6 of Revolution Live. And tonight we have with us a very special guest. Maybe some of you already guessed who it would be when I gave the announcement on this channel and on my Instagram. So welcome, Elik, to this series that I started.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wait. We'll just pass the time a little bit until some.
We have already one person.
Yes. Hello, Philip. Welcome, and we'll just chat for a little bit until some more people connect. Just tell us how you are feeling, Elik.
I don't know. I'm okay, a bit exhausted, a bit depressed. I'm a bit happy that I heard that there's a chance for a ceasefire, which it's just maybe the beginning of slight improvement of something. I have no idea where is it going to lead, but
yes.
Yeah, we were praying for this, we were demonstrating for this, we were writing for this, we did many episodes calling for this.
Yes.
It's not only for this, of course, because we know what the source of the problem, and the source of the problem is not even close to be recognized and solved by the powerful people in the world. And maybe it will never be recognized by the powerful people, because part of the problem is that they have power.
Yes, and they want to preserve their power, and this is part of it.
But I don't know, it's funny, I always have, this is your series is about like revolution and about anarchy, and we know that the oppression of the Palestinian people, at least, is not going to be, I don't know. Like sometimes I'm thinking, why am I taking part as an anarchist with an organization, for example, the ODSI, that calling for establishment of a state?
Yes.
And why am I part of this? And all of the Free Palestine movement, basically, they're calling for freedom for the Palestinians in a way that it will form a different state than the state of Israel. That nobody, I think, people are not calling for anarchy between the river and the sea. Most of them.
Yes.
And they're still, we see them
as allies.
Yes.
Yes, we said something in one of our episodes that I really liked. I think you said it. That the moment that the state of Palestine exists between the river and the sea, we will start opposing it as anarchists. And I think this is a very succinct way to say what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Because having one democratic state between the river and the sea, called Palestine, would be a definite improvement on the current situation.
Yeah.
And they always say that anarchists are idealists, that they're not pragmatic. But I must say that I heavily disagree with this statement. And as you can see, we are anarchists, but still in this situation, we believe that it is a very pragmatic thing to support one democratic state for all inhabitants between the river and the sea, because it will improve the situation greatly, and therefore we can compromise our anarchical values, whatever any of this means, to do this, because we believe that it will improve the situation greatly, and after that we will see,
Yeah, and we still recognize that there are levels of oppression, I think.
Yes.
Like what the Palestinians are going through. We are also oppressed by living in but there are still levels of oppression.
Yes, in some sense I feel that it's almost like I can reach the conclusion that I want to bring down Zionism only from a very selfish point of view, like even from a completely selfish point of view, because I must say that I hate living in this. I hate living in occupied Palestine.
Yeah, it's shit.
I hate looking at the buildings. I hate looking at the people. We were just talking.
We can play the game of things we hate here. I hate soldiers in the train, that you go on the train and there's literally the same amount of civilians and soldiers, right? Like there's
maybe more soldiers than
sometimes. If you go on Sunday, it's more soldiers than
Sunday is like the first day of the week. We're all
but not only on Sundays. I had this experience also in the middle of the week.
Yes.
And you're thinking, how come I grew up to think and feel that this is a normal and healthy society? And when I was part of it, I felt it's like, okay, soldiers.
Yeah.
I will be a soldier one day. Every child
I was a soldier.
I was a soldier. If some people are doing reserve, so when it's so sick and it's so oppressive to the people themselves, but that's why sometimes I feel like, I said it a few times, that I feel like Palestinians are more heavily oppressed physically, but the Zionists are more enslaved in their mind, because they don't even see that it's sick, they don't.
Yes, they don't understand.
Yeah.
And this leads me to what to one of the main subjects we wanted to talk about. We were having a small conversation before, and we were talking about what we want to discuss. And one of the things that we wanted to discuss, okay, so I had to, we're in Jerusalem now. I had to take several buses and trains from Haifa to Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. The trip took me like 3.5 hours, which is another aspect of Palestine, of occupied Palestine, the thing called Israel that I despise, that everything here is not designed to benefit normal people. For example, public transportation is absolute shit. So it shouldn't take more than, I don't know, an hour and a half to get from Haifa to Jerusalem, but it takes 3.5 hours the entire trip. So yes, I'm complaining about mundane things, but yes, it greatly affects our life. All these small things. What I was saying to Eric after, so we met, and I was quite tired, and I told him that all through this trip, I looked at people around me, and what I want to do is look at people and see that they are good people, that they are, nice, that I want to look at them and see that they are beautiful and feel warmth inside. This is what I want. But unfortunately, in the current situation, maybe it's still possible in some way to like go beyond what I see, like the surface level things that I see, and go beyond it and go more deeply and recognize their goodness, their beauty. But I must say that it's very difficult, and I find myself looking at people around me and feeling that they are very ugly, and feeling disgust, and feeling, because I know that almost each and every one of them, if I start talking to them about all the violence that I see around me, no matter in which context, all the oppression that I see around me, they will not only support this violence, but they will hate me for opposing this violence. And this makes me feel it's just depression, despair, and we wanted to talk about what this concept of good people means. And maybe before we dive into it, we will read some messages, and we'll answer some stuff, and then we'll dive into the main subject. Shalom, salam alaikum. Azul Felawen to any fellow Berbers watching. What does Azul Felawen mean? And can you tell us a little bit? I assume there are Berber Jews because someone introduced me to Israeli couscous a few years ago, and it was unmistakably Berkouses, a Berber.
What is Berber?
Can you explain what Berber means? And so Israeli couscous is like baked pasta. It's like small pasta balls, and they're baked. It's called ptitim in Hebrew, and it's supposed to be like a very Israeli food. But then there's like all the posts on Instagram that like you see someone cooking, and it says, "I'm cooking Israeli food," and the pot is completely empty, and everything is in, and they're cutting air because there's no such thing as Israeli food. I don't know if it's the best argument against Zionism that I ever heard. It is amusing, but in any way, Israeli couscous is something. It's a thing, but can you explain?
There are stuff that invented in Israel. I kind of, sometimes I'm a bit tired of this. To me, it feels sometimes a bit shallow. This saying like there is Israeli culture. You can say you hate it.
Yeah.
But saying it doesn't exist. You can say it's very young and a lot of it is stolen.
Yes, you can say it's manufactured.
Yeah, you can say a lot of things about it.
You
Yeah, but there's also things that I like, like
yes.
there are good musicians. There are a lot of creative, and it's very sad that a lot of it is hijacked by Zionism or being in some way, used. But it is an existing culture.
Maybe it connects with the subject that we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Like what is an Israeli artist? What does Israeli artist mean? Yeah. Right? It's a very self-contradicting thing in some sense, but we must analyze this and what is the artist part? What is the Israeli part? How do we separate them? How do we preserve the art and deconstruct the Israel? Like how do we separate these two? Are they even? Is it even possible to separate? Okay, freeing Palestine frees us all. And yes, I agree with this statement, and we were hovering around this statement that I believe that what is happening now in Palestine, in occupied Palestine, the current genocide is just an end result, one end result of the worldwide corrupt system of oppression, of supremacy, of hierarchy, of states, of capitalism, of all these things. There are a lot of global interests that are tied up in this genocide. For example, like one very clear example is the arms industry. And the arms industry, which is a global thing, will not let the genocide in Palestine truly stop, and it's too beneficial to them.
Yeah, and I think like what happened, and this is something I hope that will happen, that these people who saw this genocide, and I think this genocide woke a lot of people up to the corruption, also in other issues. So I think this is a good, that's, people a lot of time, like spiritual people, talk about how bad things and good things are intertwined.
Yes.
And I get really angry because some here in Israel, they use it to justify horrible stuff. But it's not, but we see that it's true in some level that something horrible happens, but then good result is that many people wake up to
the problem with what they're saying is not that it's false, it's that the way that they're using it is the wrong way to use it. They mention it in the wrong time and in the wrong context, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that we have to justify the bad stuff.
Yes. Maybe we can maintain the good aspects and try to minimize the bad aspects. But maybe one thing that I want to emphasize in this discussion is that so I think people have this illusion that the oppression that you can free Palestine without freeing the entire planet, and I think that this is impossible. Yes, you can make the situation a little bit better, but I think that if we really want revolution in Palestine, then it is imperative that then the revolution should happen all around the world, because again, this is just a very extreme part of the oppression and the problems all around the world.
Yeah, and look, and I think okay, so there was the genocide that happened to the Jews in the Second World War. So it got better at other places, and then it happens in different places. If you're thinking only on one single issue, it would and there are other genocides that happen all the time. All this whataboutism that people use. It's true also. It also, again, it's diverted in stupid way. But are many genocides that happen all the time. A lot of time I think what is this? That genocide is part of the system.
Yes.
And it keeps happening in different places, and there's always big parties. And the only reason that it keeps happening is that you have privileged groups who don't care about it and thinks that actually everything is fine. But every time other group is being sacrificed in some way, I don't know why. It's not complete theory that I have, but I think it will always be that in our current system, certain groups will have to be sacrificed in order to maintain the world system of dominance.
Yes. And we see it very, very concretely. For example, Germany is directly supporting this genocide for their own political reasons. The US is funding, and actually, it can be claimed, I don't know if how much this is true, but it can be claimed that the US is more responsible to the genocide than Israel, right? That Israel is just a thing that the US is maintaining, and that the genocide is actually caused by the US. I don't think that if people in the US don't wake up and do something meaningful, that this can be solved. I really don't. I really don't think it, because too many people in the US have too much to gain from what's going on in Israel, from this colony, for it to be toppled without the support of people in the US who resist this system, and in Germany as well, and in other places in the world as well.
But I still don't feel I understand why so many parties support it, that it almost feel like a conspiracy. That friends tell me that they got invited to the police in France because they were posting pro-Palestine stuff. I what the fuck is happening here? I don't get it,
So I don't know what the answer is. But I have a thought about this. This is something that I wanted to say anyway, and I think it connects nicely to what you asked. Because I think what is going on in Palestine is waking everyone up, okay? And I think to the system, people who are awake are always dangerous. The more awake you are, the more dangerous you are to the system. And I think because what's going on in Palestine is waking so many people up, they are trying to quash all this resistance and to threaten everyone into remaining asleep as much as they can all over the world. This is the thing, that Palestine is like a microcosm of what, it's not just an end result of the system, the global system, it's also a microcosm of the global system. And I think that the moment, so there is a genocide in Palestine, people all around the world are seeing the genocide, they're like, what the fuck, how can this happen? And then they go to protest, and then they experience what everyone who goes to protest against the system experiences. They experience violent oppression, which is what I experienced when I did even back in 2011, in the time of the social revolution in Israel, which was. It was a sham, okay, but still it was dangerous enough to the system that police officers oppressed us with violence. I experienced police violence for the first time in my life in 2011. Yes, in few of them, and I experienced police violence, and this was like an aha moment for me, where I realized what
You suddenly saw that when the oppression, that the police is not a neutral force.
Yes, and they're not my friends.
Yeah.
They're definitely not my friends because they're beating me up. Let's continue. Okay, so Berbers are okay. So let's see. Berbers are the natives of North Africa, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. Okay, okay. So there are many Berber Jews here, right? There are Jews in Israel who are from Morocco, who are from Tunisia, who are from Algeria. So yes, if you
and they're not considered Arabs, like it's different. I don't know. Sorry,
I don't know exactly. I know
ignorant about it.
Yes, I'm also ignorant, but I know that if you want couscous in Israel, you can get good couscous in Israel if you so wish. Okay, let's see. Thumbs up, like the stream, chaps. Thank you, Cherry Cupcake. And this, I am very, I feel very awkward about promoting myself. I feel like it's something that is very hard for me to do. But I've also been thinking more and more and more lately that I want more people to see what we're doing, to be exposed to what we're doing. I want this to become more serious. And I am wondering, is this possible without doing some self-promotion? Some shameless self-promotion? And I'm thinking it's not possible.
Yeah, he has a Patreon. Give him money.
Oh, wow. No, I'm not ready for this. I will tell you about the Patreon in a few days' time.
Okay.
I'm not ready for this, but what I do want to say is please like, subscribe, all these things, the spiel, like, subscribe, share this.
And go watch the interview we did with Muhammad.
Yes, let's do some promotion on Elix's channel, Sound of Anarchy, on our other podcast, Yalla. Yeah. We did an interview with Muhammad from Gaza. The second part of this interview is now up. This is maybe one of the most important things we ever did, right?
And this is part of a revolution to speak like this, right?
Yes, it felt very revolutionary to just speak to someone from Gaza, something that very few Israeli Jews, people who were assigned this label of Israeli Jews, even against their
and
will.
To collaborate together against Zionism. I feel it's
yes, it's something that is very rare, and we want to do it more and more and more. And this is why we started working more and more and more with the ODSI, the One Democratic State Initiative. Please go watch this episode. Please share what we're doing with other people. Send them links. Tell them to subscribe. Like all the videos. Do all the things that make the YouTube algorithm want to show our channels and our videos to more and more and more people. Okay, please do that. Awkward, but it needs to be done, so we're doing it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay. A lot of stuff about the Berbers.
Okay.
It's an ethnic group, not a race. There are blacks and whites and so on. I don't know exactly what is the difference between an ethnic group and a race. But I don't even know if I want to know. I don't know if it matters so much to me. Like, to me, it's like all these divisions are more harmful than they are helpful. Sahara, okay. Tuaregs in Mali, in Chad, and the Sahara are Berbers.
Oh, okay.
There are many famous Berber Jews in history too. Christians as well. Okay.
Cool. I had a Tuareg friend once.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, very cool artist that I met in Berlin.
Okay. It is very sad what happened to Algerian Jews. They became French. Took French names, took state jobs, etc., to avoid the persecution against the natives. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's a thing that happens in colonialism all the time, right? That the ones who are the most oppressed, they need to cooperate the most, right? It's maybe it's an even parallel phenomenon to what Palestinian Israelis have to do. They have to cooperate with the Zionist system.
It's interesting. I forced myself to listen to an interview with Einat Wilf. You know her?
The Zionist propagandist, the Hespara woman.
Yeah, and she said that the war we need to do is not against Palestinians, but against Palestinianism.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And what she said is basically it's a war against right of return, and I thought it's really
it connects to
Konatwaji and what we did with Muhammad. It's really, I was like, okay, it's all the dots are being
yes
connected. It's things that I knew, but
so both Muhammad told us that the main issue is the refugee issue, and now you say Einat Wilf is saying that the refugee issue.
Yeah, it's basically most of the things she said. I agreed on her analysis. I just don't agree with her morality.
Yes,
with the what's need to be done. But she sees things in many ways. She thinks. I thought she was like, she says like the Palestinians will never give up the right of return. I'm like, but why should they? But it's like.
It is part of a more general phenomenon that I find myself agreeing, or I find myself when I am exposed to right-wing Israelis, that is extreme Zionists, I find myself agreeing more with them about like just the analysis of material reality than I do with
she still calls herself lefty, but.
Okay, really?
Yeah, because she believes in two states.
Be closer to the.
She believes in two states, but she thinks we need to. But she says the moment that Palestinians will give up the right of return, then we could have the two-state solution. But we have to kill the Palestinianism, which is the insistence of the Palestinians not to give up the right of return because of UNRWA and because of
so she's not kind of right-wing Zionist. Okay, interesting.
She says it's interesting because she says something that the right wings always. She's a lefty that got איך אומרים להתפכח.
That
sobered up and understood, but not after 7th of October, before.
Yes, even before. Why I left the left, the why I left the left genre.
And she says, because I understood that the Palestinians will never give up the right of return.
Okay.
And she says, name me even one Palestinian who that willingly, openly accept the two-state solution and gives up the right of return. That's what she says. And
I think that there are such Palestinians.
She says that there are no.
But there are Palestinian Israelis who are basically Zionists.
Yeah.
I don't think I agree with her on this. The point is that the more left-wing a Zionist is just a measure of how much disconnected from reality and how manipulative they are. And I find myself agreeing more with right-wing Zionists than I do with left-wing Zionists, even though supposedly they are more far from me politically. And maybe I want to tell about an experience that I had. So, you know about Chagai Amir?
The brother of Yigal Amir?
Yes. So, in 1995, there was a political assassination in Israel. The prime minister of Israel at the time, Yitzhak Rabin, who was also the head commander of the Israeli army for a long time, also the minister of security. A very important Zionist. Okay, so he was assassinated by a person called
because he
Yigal
did
Amir.
the Oslo Accords.
Yes, he started or
joined, and he was assassinated because of that, because
yes.
he was willing theoretically to give land for peace.
Yes,
right? That's
yes.
the Zionist left
interpretation of this.
Yeah.
Yes, and he was assassinated by Yigal Amir, and his brother Chagai Amir. So Yigal Amir is still in prison. 30 years later. 30 years later, he is still in prison. And his brother is now free. He's been free for, I think, just a little bit over a decade. And when he writes on Facebook, he has a Facebook profile and he writes on Facebook. And sometimes I see what he writes on Facebook. And I thought that he was a leftist because of what he writes on Facebook. And out of...
He's not. I thought he's an anti-Zionist. No,
he's an anti-Zionist. He is an anti-Zionist.
Mm-hmm.
But... And then I saw one of his comments, and I started talking to my girlfriend about this, and she was like very surprised that this guy. Just so you understand, Chagai Amir and Yigal Amir planned the assassination together,
Mm-hmm.
and they were proud of it. They didn't hide it.
I didn't know he was part of the.
He was an integral part of the assassination plan.
So he got some. He changed.
No, he didn't change. He didn't. That's the thing. He is still a Jewish. He's not a Jewish supremacist. He just says. So here is the okay. So we were. So my girlfriend were surprised, and we decided to investigate further. And I found an interview with him from around 10 years ago,
mm-hmm.
where he explains to some extent his perception. This is a very right-wing person, okay?
So he's still a right-wing, but okay.
Yes, but he explains, look, there is a struggle here between Jews and Palestinians on who has the right to the land. He just starts from this.
Okay.
And I respect the Palestinians as enemies. And he says, when I was in prison, I spoke a lot to Palestinian prisoners.
Chagai was also in prison.
Yes, he was in prison for 20 years. And he said, I spoke a lot to people who are part of Hamas and were imprisoned by Israel because they are part of Hamas. Mm-hmm. And we spoke about politics and we spoke about the situation. And yes, we did not agree on who deserves this land, but we respected each other as enemies. This is what he says. We respected each other as enemies. And so this guy, I won't go into too much details into this, but this guy, I disagree with him fundamentally, okay, about what is good and what is bad, okay? But I find myself respecting his honesty, okay? Mm-hmm. As opposed to the manipulative and dishonest and leftist Zionists or liberal Zionists who speak out of both sides of their mouth all the time. This guy does not speak out of both sides of his mouth. He just says what he believes. When I read the answers that he gave in this interview, I believed that he was telling the truth as he sees it, mm-hmm. okay? Which is a very different experience to speaking to a liberal Zionist. When I speak to a liberal Zionist, or any liberal for that matter, I don't believe that what they are saying is what they truly believe. I see that they have a big mess in their mind. So, in some sense, it's better. I disagree heavily with Chagai Amir about everything, basically. But I don't disagree with him about the basic analysis of what's going on here, because I think that he sees what's going on here. But he believes that the right thing to do is to, fight the Palestinians and take the land for the Jews. Okay. Now we can start having a discussion. Is this the right thing to do or not? But maybe he's like too brainwashed by religion to have this discussion. Probably. But at least he says what he believes, which is a step ahead of liberal Zionists, which you just cannot have a conversation with them,
Yeah.
Okay, let's do some more questions. I think at some point we will have to actually talk about the subject that we wanted to talk about.
I need also to check my sugar level for
Okay. So
you can go answer some questions.
I will answer some questions while Elik is checking his sugar levels. Okay. Let's see.
I also hear you from here.
Okay. Okay, Berbers and Arabs. Arab is an identity, Berber too. Over time, partly as a result of Islam's dominance, Maimonides, for example, wrote in Arabic, colonialism and post-colonialism, most North Africans, I don't know, what about most North Africans? But the Arabic they speak is very dialectic. It's spoken in Berber intonations and with Berber words. So, Elik, most North Africans are Arabized Berbers. Some in the mountains and desert kept their identity. Very interesting. Thank you for explaining this, and we hope that we managed to educate ourselves as our audience as well. Hi guys, George from Bulgaria. Hi George. How do I explain to my friends the Zionistic mindset? It is so difficult for me to understand it and much more difficult to explain it to others. I must say, honestly, that after 37, almost 38 years of living inside the Zionist cult, I can still not explain the Zionist mindset. I still do not understand. I have all kinds of, rational explanations, like, I don't know, descriptive explanations for what's going on here, but I like deeply, I don't understand. I don't understand. In my opinion, the best analysis for this is just saying this is a cult, and if you know how cult members behave, how cult members think, what are the mechanisms that act inside cults, then you understand Zionism, because this is just a very big and institutionalized cult. This is the way that I think about it.
I think it's like
yes.
I heard a question. I just wanna, because I had an interesting conversation today with a friend who is a Zionist and musician, and I thought he said some stuff that I feel like that were kind of revealing. Because I think it's a cult, but I think it's not enough to say it's a cult, because every cult has different minds and and by the end of the conversation, he said, it's a thing that you need to choose between murdering or committing suicide. And I told him, I think you're both murdering and committing suicide.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
And that was the last sentence, and I thought, like, I hope I made him think something there, because I told him, you think you can commit a genocide to Muslim Arab population in the middle of the Arab Muslim world, and there gonna be no consequence to that will harm you at the end? And then he said, I think, he gave me this bullshit thing that we're in a tough neighborhood and we need to act tough, and if you don't murder, you will be murdered. And I was like, no, you're living in, you are being the most, like, Zionists have this weird way of thinking that they think that we behave like Arabs when we act like this, like, and no, you behave like imperialists and colonialists and just because, like, some other Arab regimes murdered people, it doesn't mean you need to be murderous and violent yourself. But I thought it's revealing this: you need to murder or commit suicide. Like you have to. It's based, like, the Zionist mindset is based on this belief that Jews are always going to be persecuted.
Yes.
And we have to do this in order to survive. And because we have to do this in order to survive, so we need to, for example, block completely our awareness to what happens in Gaza, because this guy is not in the army, and he's a very nice guy, and he paid me money for playing in his gig, and I like his music, basically, thinking like we talked about culture, and actually some of his lyrics are really nice, and his music is kind of gypsy swing vibe, and I really enjoy to play it on the viola. Like, a lot of time people call me for gigs, I don't like what they have to do, and here I really enjoyed what I had to play, and he's very, and he's a nice guy, and I thought, how come this guy can live next to this concentration camp that being genocided for a year, and he's kind of fine with it, and I'm thinking, it brings us back to our subject, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I think, how come this nice guy is totally fine? I didn't see him protest even once.
Yes.
What happens in Gaza, and people, and and then when I travel in the world, both of us, we're having connection to people around the world, right? That keeps asking us, how come people are in your society are okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
And this is example for a guy that he's nice, he's a musician, he's an actor, he's an artistic person, and he's fine with a genocide that happens next to his that is close to him, and I don't bring it up every time, but I have this thing that I have to bring it up every time, just like you as a vegan, you feel like you don't bring veganism every time you talk to everyone, but it's in your mind that you have to bring it up, right?
Always there.
It's always there, and I have it, and you kind of, because of you, I became more aware to veganism, and I start to having this as well about veganism, but for Zionism, I was already there, and I'm like, so I try to push him up to, like, in a kind of, like, I thought, like, I asked him, don't you think about migrating? And he was like, no, I feel quite part of, like, that's how I brought it up. And I was like, and you're fine with all.
But did you want to have this discussion with him?
I felt like I have to bring it up somehow. Like,
really?
Because I feel like, okay, because I feel it's in back of my mind. You have to talk about with people, like, they're doing this.
Yes.
He's gonna suffer the consequences, right?
Yes.
In 10 years, in few years from now, 10 years.
Yes.
He wants to perform his music in the world. People are gonna boycott him now. He's not gonna.
Yes.
But maybe he's gonna. But I feel he's suffering the consequences also morally, soul level. I don't know. I feel it's on him. It's on everyone here. So I have this feeling that, okay, I collaborate, and I feel it's also on me. I collaborate. We talked about it. I feel like this permanent guilt that I live here because I'm collaborating with this guy, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he is not going to the army, but he's part of this society. I'm part of this society, so I'm not going to talk about him. It means I'm participating in a genocide and ethnic cleansing in some level,
Yes.
So I had to feel I brought it up. And then he said this, it's a matter if you need to choose between murdering and committing suicide.
Yes.
And I think this is revealed something about the Zionist mindset, right?
Yes, it's very revealing, yes.
And what is this thing? What can you say about it? I don't know. I kind of...
So you had a post on Instagram once that if you truly believe that you have to murder to continue living, you would suicide. Right?
Yeah.
That's what you said. Like, I don't want to live in a world
where
to live I need to murder. This is just
Right.
Like to him, it would be a crazy conclusion, but maybe it's the only sane conclusion. But maybe the other same conclusion is to say, no, it cannot be this way. It cannot be this way. And you know what? This is kind of the reason that I started this this series.
Mm-hmm.
That the more the more I look at the world, the more I am exposed to what's going on in the world, the more I see violence around me. And we had a conversation a few weeks ago where I told you, the most intellectually honest thing that I ever did was to acknowledge all the murder that I see around me.
And most of the backlash you get is because you acknowledge murder.
Acknowledge and
in different contexts.
And point at it.
I'm coming in a second.
Yes,
you can keep. I'm hearing you.
Yes, I will explain. So I feel like this process that I'm going through of like connecting with reality is a very difficult process, because the meaning of connecting with reality in the current state of affairs is just acknowledging how much violence we are surrounded by. And Elik, you spoke about Elik is over there now. You spoke about how, like, you are walking around and you see all these people cooperating with violence and just not caring about what's going on. And this is an experience that is far from new to me, because for almost 15 years now, I've been more and more aware of the Holocaust of non-human animals. And I want to tell an experience that I had when I was in Barcelona. I was in Barcelona, in Spain in general, and Catalonia specifically, and in Barcelona. And I went, one of the last days that I was there, I went and joined. I went to a protest for Palestine in Barcelona, and then a few days later, I went to a vigil, which took place in front of a just an extermination camp in the middle of the city of Barcelona. It's at the outskirts of the
slaughterhouse.
Yes, a slaughterhouse for chickens. And it was astounding. I have footage from there that I didn't upload yet, and I think I will do it very soon, because I think it's very powerful footage. And the situation is that there is a soccer field where young boys and girls are playing soccer and surrounded by their families, and it's all very wholesome and nice. And on the other side of the street is the extermination camp, where in the time that we were there, which was like maybe 2 hours, I saw several trucks that go into the extermination camp and unload chickens. And I did like a small calculation, like it's a very chilling, cynical calculation. How many chickens are on each truck? And I counted and I multiplied, and I figured out that there were thousands of chickens on each truck. So in the time that we were there were 3 or 4 trucks that arrived and were unloaded. So only in 2 hours that we were there, it was like 20,000 chickens, something like that, who were unloaded. And all of them were murdered in this extermination camp on this evening. All of them, every single one of them, 20,000 of them, in 2 hours, in one extermination camp, in one city, inside, the general population. And it was astounding to see like cars going by. There was a car wash on the other side of the street.
And they know that this is happening.
They don't care. like we were standing there, the activists, we were standing there with signs, and we were filming the trucks, and we were filming the
So it was a
extermination
protest against the. Sorry, I just.
It was a vigil. It was a vigil. It was called a vigil.
What
we
is
were there.
vigil? This is
Vigil is where you go to bear witness and to document. Okay, this is and we also stood with signs. Okay, so we did several things during these 2 hours. We stood with signs and we documented the trucks coming with the chickens, and we also just stood there next to the chickens. I must say, this was a very difficult experience. Like looking at those chickens, and their eyes are looking back at me, and their eyes are dead. Their eyes are dead, and it's not because the chickens are stupid, and it's not because the chickens don't have a soul.
They know they're going to be slaughtered.
I think they feel it on some level. I think they have been, their soul has been crushed from the day that they were born, into these horrific conditions. And I look at the chicken, and I tell the chicken, I cannot do anything for you. I'm sorry, I cannot do anything for you. I just can't. What will I do? What will I do? And people are driving by to go to the car wash, and they had to wait in line for the car wash. And we were standing with the signs, and the people are standing in line, and we are just 2 meters away from them with the signs, and on the other side of the street is the extermination camp. And I think they understood at that moment, but many of them did not care at all. And the vast majority of them would not give it even a single thought if we weren't there to point it out that this was happening. And what is my point? My point is that as someone who is aware of the Holocaust of non-human animals, this is a usual experience for me. And this is happening all around the world. That people just ignore horrendous, atrocious things that are happening in their backyards all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. This is maybe the most human thing. People say humanity as something good, but I think the most human thing is to commit atrocities, participate in atrocities, and completely ignore it, block it out, deny it, justify it.
Yeah.
Whenever you are faced with it in some context.
Because at some level, if you want to do it, you will collapse psychologically, right? Like, I don't want to defend it, but I feel like maybe I am defending it. I don't know, but
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's a very difficult thing to do. This is why so many people.
That's why I also when I'm that's why I felt like, okay, I have to talk with this guy today about the genocide in Gaza, because I don't want to participate in the genocide by complicity, by not talking about it, by being silent. And I am, I have to admit, I'm doing it. I'm going to work. I'm in this society, and I was participating in Twitter in a discussion a few days ago, and there was a Palestinian woman who told me, I don't buy it that you're an anti-Zionist.
Okay.
Because you still live here, you're part of that society, you do your stuff, so you did a video on Instagram that's saying, I was invited to this discussion because of a specific video I did that I showed my identity card, and I said, I wish that one day this identity card that says Israel, I guess there are no Israelis who's watching. אם אתם רואים, כן, אני רוצה להחליף את התעודת זהות המזדהנת הזאת כי היא מייצגת אפרטהייד, because what I said now is I want to replace this identity card because
he said fucking identity card.
Yeah, fuck this identity card that
there are Israelis here.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but the Israeli who is here said murder doesn't apply to animals. I want to remind you, friend, that all human beings are animals. I am an animal, you are an animal, Elik is an animal. All the viewers here are animals. You know why? because human beings are animals, mammals, apes, Homo sapiens. This is just a kind of animal. It is mind-boggling to me how many times I need to remind people that humans are a kind of animal. They always say humans and animals. Even vegans go, we are for the animals. No, guys, we're all animals. We're all animals. It's just a specific kind of animal called Homo sapiens and other animals called cow.
You need to do an episode that asking what is murder. It's funny question because it's supposed to be common
but
sense.
I want to remind,
what is murder?
I want to,
it's a philosophical question.
Murder is taking the life of someone else. That's it. That's what it is. That's what it is.
When it's not from self-defense, right? Or it's also murder when it's.
So our friend Dan says maybe we should stop excusing things, or just we should call things by what they are. It's all murder. Some murder is in self-defense.
But we need to eat to survive, right? And you can say plants are also living beings. Are the places where I feel I still have human supremacy is when I'm thinking, okay, I need to. By the way, I think you can still be human supremacy and resist the killing of animals, but
yes,
but you
can be a Jewish supremacist and oppose the Gaza genocide.
Yeah,
you can like it's very easy to oppose the Gaza genocide. A lot of Zionists oppose the Gaza genocide.
Yeah, because I think I need to eat, and so it means I need to kill, and then I need to differentiate between different kinds of species that it's okay to kill and not okay to kill. So you put the line on animals, on all mammals. I don't know, but you need to put the line somewhere, don't you? Because we need to eat to survive. That's a fact.
You just said that you need to kill to eat.
Yeah.
It sounds to me weirdly similar to what your friend said about Zionism, that we need to, that we have only two options, either to kill Palestinians or to commit suicide.
But isn't it a fact of nature that you need to kill some living beings?
I don't know that it's a fact of nature. Like, for example, you can, I imagine humans living 50,000 years ago, for example, and they were walking around and there were trees, and the trees made fruit, and some of these fruit, they could take the fruit, or the fruit fell on the ground and they take the fruit from the ground. Why is this basic assumption that you need to kill to eat? Why this basic assumption? It's a weird assumption to me. I don't know any proof.
But you also kill to eat, practically. You do it.
Maybe I do, yes. And
so can I call you a murderer?
Yes, you can call me a murderer. Yes. And I will tell you, yes, I am a murderer, but I want to stop. I want to stop. This is the thing. I think it's very important. It's a very important point. Yes, we all participate in crimes, in violence all the time because of the way that this world is structured. Now, the question is, there is a saying, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. And I agree with this saying, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. But sometimes people use this, so the original context of this statement is to say we must dismantle capitalism completely, because as long as capitalism exists, there is no ethical consumption. We cannot be ethical as long as capitalism exists. But some people use this statement to say there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and therefore it doesn't matter what I do. Right. So they use it in the opposite direction to justify what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of similar to whataboutism, and it's a kind of whataboutism, right? It's a similar, or not exactly. I don't know,
but it's a thing that people do. They say, I cannot be completely ethical. I cannot avoid violence completely. Therefore, I should just not kill. I disagree. I think because we cannot avoid violence completely, we need to do two things. One, thing that we need to do is try to minimize the amount of violence that we contribute to as much as we can. This is one thing that we need to do in the current circumstances. This is something individual that we need to do as individuals. We need to minimize as much as we can our contribution to this violent system that only allows us to exist and to continue living while we are exploiting and being violent. This is one thing that we need to do. Minimize as much as we can. And the second thing that we need to do, this is on a more collective level, we need to change the system. If we look at the system and we identify that this system is so problematic that it is impossible to continue living without exploiting and without being violent, then this system must fundamentally and radically change. And I think, Eric, that you agree with this when we speak about Zionism, right? This is exactly what you told your friend today, right? Your friend said, but what do you want from me? I am here in Israel, in this current situation. I either kill or I die.
But, okay, so I can say two things about it. First of all, when he said it, it's wrong. And you can tell me it's wrong. Okay, this is one thing. But I can also tell you, honestly, for example, and you can say it's I'm wondering, maybe is no way to get around with some supremacy, because I'm thinking, if you would tell me you have to, for example, you would have to let's say the genocide in Gaza is a necessity in order for you to survive. Let's say this.
Let's say this.
And let's assume this. And I will contemplate it. I would say, okay, I would consider killing myself. Maybe I would kill myself. But if you would tell me, in order for you to survive, kill million ants, and I recognizing that ants are animal, I don't know if I do it. And why? Do I have a philosophical way to support it? No, but I feel that this is the case. Why? I don't know. But that's the honest thing I would say, right?
Okay, but I think that Zionists can honestly tell you that if they have a choice to kill 1 million Arabs or have their that if they have a choice either to kill 1 million Arabs or
so
let one Jew die, they will kill 1 million Arabs.
Human and an ant is the same for you?
No, I'm just saying.
You can say it honestly and just put the philosophy aside. Just can you say you're fine with true heart? Say like, yeah, killing a cockroach is the same as killing a cow or killing a chicken and there is like, we really do away with differentiating and I don't know. And I understand the problem.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? From the point of view of the victim, it does not matter what you think about who matters more or less. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I heard a Zionist say, I put it on Instagram, you can go scroll down on Instagram and see a conversation that I had with a Zionist a little over a year ago, where he said, even if I have to kill 40 billion with a B Arabs to save one Jewish person, I will do it. That's what he said. The mathematical impossibilities here, and regardless of that, that's what he said. And I also had a discussion with a so-called friend. This was like 12 years ago, when I was still arguing about veganism with everyone around me. He said, if I have to kill 40 million sheep to save one person, I will do it. This looks eerily similar to me, first of all. And second, why should I care what your supremacist views are? Why do they matter? Yes, you might have biases. Yes, I have biases as well. I have biases, you have biases, everyone in our audience has biases.
So it's just a bias?
Of course it's a bias. Of course it's a bias.
But this bias... No, but Okay, there's two things that I want to. It's good that we're having this.
Yes, we need to have this discussion.
We need to have this discussion. First of all,
it's not the first time we had this discussion. I just want to tell the audience. It's not the
first time we go to him deeply publicly.
Yes, deeply and publicly. It's the first time.
And I don't know. It's thing I'm struggling with, and I must say I don't think it's an excuse not to be vegan. But what I'm struggling with is that you say any kind of supremacy is wrong, right?
I'm not saying wrong. I'm saying it's a bias.
It's a bias, but you're a big part of you, and I agree with you on many levels.
Yes,
that supremacy is both unjustified and there's and it's.
Let's go back to basics then.
Okay.
Let's go back to basics.
Okay.
Here is something that I am more and more convinced of the more I think about. That hierarchies always cause problems, always cause violence, always make us disconnected, all make us, they just cause problems all the time. Whenever I see a hierarchy, I see that it causes people and other living beings to be violent towards each other and to be disconnected from each other and not to cooperate. This is something that I saw, and this is why I define myself as an anarchist, because I feel that one of the things that I need to do in this world, in this life, is to oppose, resist, deconstruct, and dismantle all hierarchies that I see.
Okay.
This is something that I see, and you know, the thing is that I always see that so hierarchies. Here is another statement that I'm absolutely positive about. All hierarchies exist only in our minds. They do not exist in reality. It's not saying this is more than this is not an objective statement about reality. It's not. You can say that humans have more neurons. Each human has more neurons.
We have only quantities, and
yes, but why is the amount of neuron per per individual something that defines who is more, like more on a very objective sense? Like in any time you will try to say this this group is better than this group in an objective sense. When I ask you why, you will have to say because, and then you will have to choose some criteria to compare by. But there are there's an infinite amount of different criteria that you can choose, and your choice of criteria will always be a certain choice of criteria that others might choose other criteria. So it will be biased. And for some reason, I noticed that those who belong to a group who is higher on the hierarchy that they imagine always choose the criteria where they happen to win out in their own minds. Okay? So this is why I say it's always a result of bias.
Yeah. But isn't it like when you say when you talk about when you talk about you sound like you say let's say human supremacy is just like Zionist who says Jews are more important, right? It's kind of similar.
Yes.
But racism is based on false differentiation. They say like
why
Jews,
some people,
Jews and I don't know, Aryans and Jews, or Jews and Arabs. But when you look at it, they're the same species. There is no really difference.
Why do you say the same species to say the same? Some people have dark skin and some people have light skin.
Yeah.
If you want to look at objective reality, there is only the gene pool. And there's like the tree of life, and there's all kinds of different creatures, and it's all one big family with lots of differences between different living beings. And I don't know, you want to group it like that, you want to group it like that. The word species was defined by scientists for a certain technical goal. It's not. It's species do not exist in reality, in objective reality, in a concrete sense. It's not something that is. I don't know who said species. Like God? Did God say species? No, scientists define this term in a certain way to achieve certain technical goals in their research of biology, and and also if you look at what a species really is, the more you look at any categorization in science, you will see that the lines are blurry all the time.
Yeah.
And also in species, you will see that the lines are blurry.
But then okay. Why is it? But then again, why is it okay to eat plants and not okay to eat mammals?
I don't think it's okay to kill plants. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's an okay thing. I don't think it's okay. I look at furniture made from trees, and I see violence. I must say this. This is the first time I said this publicly. Yeah. Okay, but I've been feeling it more and more and more for years now. Why do we need to kill trees all the time? Why? Why? Is it similar in some sense to the reason that we need to kill cows and chickens? Why? Why? Why do we exploit nature all the time? Why do we feel that we are not part of nature all the time? Why do we feel that we are above nature?
But being part of nature, if you look at nature, and animals exploit, you cannot live you cannot go do away with a certain amount of exploitation. Like
okay, so now we have to do as much as exploitation as we can?
No, but you accept it, and then you have to. I don't know. I feel like what you're doing is a bit trying to.
What I'm trying to do, as honestly as I can, is to reduce the amount of supremacy that I feel towards the rest of the cosmos, and to reduce the amount of separation that I feel from the rest of the cosmos, and to reduce the amount of objectification that I perform, to reduce the amount of violence I inflict, to reduce the amount of exploitation that I contribute to. I do not want to exploit. I do not want to be violent. I do not want to hurt anyone. If you say to me that there is some level of violence that I have to perform in order to continue living, okay, maybe, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't try to minimize it as much as I can.
No, I agree with that.
And I see also that the more I do this process, the more connected I feel to the rest of the cosmos, the more connected I feel to myself. If I try to justify supremacy, separation, exploitation, and objectification, I always have to do some exploitation, separation, and objectification of my own self. This is something that I see all the time. Which brings us back, for example, we talk about Zionists and how they are also victims in their mind. The fact that they need to objectify Palestinians and to say that Palestinians are worthy of the violence that we inflict upon them they have to kill a part of their own soul, of their own psyche, in order to be able to do this, and then they become soulless. They become you get the blank stare.
Yeah, even though it's interesting, how often I see like the moment your victim is like they put him away and it's not in front of your eyes, and this is very similar to what happens in the animal exploitation. Like people like this guy that I was talking today, he didn't feel like dead inside, and a lot of time I say to them, I write it on Facebook and I say like, you're dead inside, you lost your souls, but sometimes it feels like you just cut off, you just don't care. And if I'm honest, many times I also don't care about things that happens in other parts in the world, and I'm just like, okay.
But is that good in your opinion?
It's not good, but like I know the state of mind that you say I cannot care about anything, otherwise I'll die, I'll get crazy, and I'm a living being. I have right to be happy. I have right to. I knew, and that is objectively true, that at some point in my life I was very selfish and I was just practicing viola and drums and piano, and I got really high skill on this. I don't know if I would be able to do that if I would just think about if I would think about the Palestinians that existed,
Yes.
And 15 minutes from my studio, people are being tortured in the Russian compound.
Yes.
Tortured. And, and I kind of, when I was in this Twitter.
Yes, let's go back to this conversation. Explain to the audience what happened and tell about your thoughts about this.
So should I go back? You want to take a look a bit what people
wrote? Yes, you tell about this experience and I will look at some comments. I wonder what we stirred up with this discussion.
Yeah, it was...
But tell about this experience that you had on Twitter.
Okay. So I was invited to a discussion that was hosted in some format in Twitter, that I don't know, maybe if people here are in Twitter too, it was new for me, that it's kind of public discussion that somebody is hosting. And there was this video that I showed my identity card, that I said that I want to replace my identity card that says Israel with one that says like Free Democratic Palestine, that yes. Israel is illegitimate state because it must maintain apartheid regime in order to exist and to erase the Palestinians. And they showed the video, and then they asked about can there be an anti-Zionist Israeli? And it wasn't a friendly environment. Like, there was Palestinians there who were really like, and I understand them, full of anger and hate toward Israelis. And they were, and I got a comment from few people there who said like, we don't think you can be an anti-Zionist and continue to be part of that society. And if you were true to your values that you claim to have, you would pack your things and leave. And that's it.
And what did you answer to this? What did you think about this? What did you answer to this?
So I was kind of a bit in a difficult situation at the moment. So I said like, understand why it's hard for you to talk to Israelis now after everything that's been going on. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, and I said that basically I was born here. It's my homeland. I didn't choose to be part of the Zionist project. I'm working towards dismantling it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that the solutions is to kick people from their homeland, but to dismantle the system and make it an equal democratic state for all. But it seems that many people now think that the solution is to, kick away all the Zionist settlers, and it's a sentiment that exists, that comes, I think, from vengeance, that come from a narrow understanding of what settler colonialism is, that like, because I accepted that I'm a settler, but settler, it doesn't mean that it's not because my grandparents not from here. It's because it's a system that grants privilege to certain people over others, but it doesn't mean that I have to go. It means that you need to dismantle this system, and create a system with equality. But it was hard to hear it from a Palestinian, I feel like that people like us, we really want to find Palestinian comrades, and Palestinian says like, yeah, we're struggling against Zionism together because we're very lonely here. And then to hear from Palestinian like, no, fuck you, just, it's like, fuck, don't I have any place on this earth, it made me feel, And it's kind of, I felt it's a narcissist reaction. I felt I was fighting my own narcissism, not to take it personally, and
yes,
because I don't know what she's going through.
Mhm.
And now she's talking to somebody who, the other guy who was with me, he was in the, both of us have been in the army, but I wasn't a combat soldier. And he told me I was a combat soldier. Maybe a few years ago I would enter her house. So she needs,
yes,
so okay, I understand why she is not saying, oh, welcome, we love you. It's
Yes.
not that easy.
yes.
And
So the way I think about these things, I think we should first of all take a step back, okay?
yeah,
And think about the simple things. Okay, so you told me that what you liked about these sessions that I've been doing
yeah,
is that I try to say the simple things.
yeah,
Okay? So, okay, but first I want to say you can understand where Palestinians are coming from when
yeah,
they say, I don't care about you specifically, I don't care about Israeli Jews,
yeah,
I don't care if you're anti-Zionist, I don't care.
yeah,
I've been too hurt and I'm too angry, and I don't want to even discuss with you.
yeah.
You can understand it.
Yeah,
It is understandable.
It is completely
Completely
understandable. Yeah.
Okay, I don't. It's not. There's no reason to not understand it. What do you mean? It's just
Yeah.
a result of what happened.
Yeah.
But then I have to ask, why is she in this conversation?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you just want to, insult someone,
Maybe.
berate someone. Okay, that's also understandable. But then it would be understandable for you not to want to take part in.
Yeah.
Also understand. But the thing is, if you, the fact that you understand why something happens doesn't mean that you think it's the correct way forward. It doesn't mean that you think it's good that it happens. Okay,
Mhm.
and you can also understand Zionists. You can also understand that. You can understand why your Zionist friend feels like it is for him it is either commit a genocide or commit suicide.
Yeah.
You can understand. My father also thinks this. Okay,
Yeah.
I can understand why he thinks this. I can understand the chain of events that led him to have these thoughts, these opinions in his mind. I can understand it. I think we can have a very long discussion about what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's justified. That doesn't mean that it's productive. That doesn't mean that it's good. That doesn't mean that it's helpful. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
And let's go back one step further and look at things more broadly. And say, okay, so first of all, as an anarchist, I don't accept the existence of states. I don't accept this division into different groups based on, I don't know what even.
Yeah.
It's just like bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay, it's all mafias that grew way too big and are now fighting each other for control of different areas. It's just it's complete. We don't like the existence of states. We don't like the existence of peoples. We don't like this separation. It's counterproductive, and it leads to violence. It leads to wars. It leads to genocide. It leads to racism and all these things that are just not helpful in any way possible. Okay? And as an anarchist, I believe that everyone has a fundamental right to live everywhere that they want. I think that immigration laws are violence, are a form of violence. I think that if you put a border between two states and then you want to check everyone who passes from one side of the border,
who give you the authority to say who can pass through here and who can pass through that? Yeah.
No one has this authority. No one has this authority to tell someone else where they can or cannot go. This is violence. This is the beginning of violence is when someone puts up a fence and says, "This is mine." This is the beginning of violence. Okay. Everyone has a right to go anywhere that they want. Everyone has a right to live anywhere that they want, as long as they respect others. And if they don't respect others' rights to do the same, then we have a problem and we need to start thinking, okay? But first of all, this is something that I think is just self-evident. But even more than that, anyone must have the right to live where they were born. Like even if you don't agree to this, but someone was born somewhere and you were saying that they don't have a right to live where they were born. This
but
seems
what if you live
so ridiculous to me.
But what if you live on a land that was somebody else living in it, and now he's being tortured in a concentration camp?
Wonderful. So, not wonderful, horrible, but wonderful that we got to this place.
Yeah,
because I think it's the heart of the question.
Yeah.
So we need to rectify this situation. We need to rectify this situation. This is not a good situation. First of all, we need to acknowledge that this situation is highly problematic, but
and what Israeli Zionist says is like, they just take the part that he wants to kill me because he's there, and they don't want to look at the history. They don't want to look at all the situation that brought to this, and it's like, okay, so destroy the concentration camp because he wants to.
Yes. The thing is, do you agree to live with others? Are you willing to do everything that it takes so that everyone can live together in harmony? So and not in fake harmony. So of course, everything that we are saying here has been appropriated and used in a malicious way by those in power, by those who want to keep their supremacy. The words peace, the words harmony, justice, everything, every single term that you use, equality, everything, freedom, everything, has been appropriated by oppressive systems and warped and used in malicious ways to justify oppression and violence. So we need to go back to what these words really mean. What is true peace? What is true harmony? What is true equality? What is true justice? And of course, true harmony is not when a group of people that was, that had everything stolen from them by another group of people who came to this land and killed and stole and did all this violence. They just give up their right and they stay in the concentration camp and they are locked up in this border. No, this is not a just situation. This is not a peaceful situation, of course.
Yeah.
Segregation is not peaceful. Segregation
that's what
is never peaceful.
The Zionist left want,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
That we make this border that we created kind of official.
Yes. Yes, they want to
call it peace.
Yes.
Then there will be
So if this is what you are trying to promote, of course, I think you are a douchebag, of course. But if you're trying to promote something else, then I think you are part of the solution and not part of the problem. And this, like, if someone says we need to kick all the Zionists out, this seems to me like what it doesn't seem like this person is trying to make anything better.
Yeah.
Again, it's understandable that someone who was hurt so much will be in this position. It's understandable, but it doesn't mean that it's a good position to have. It doesn't mean that it promotes anything good. And this entire situation started from a refugee problem. Okay, so Jews are refugees of a lot of countries that behaved very poorly towards them and ostracized them and also genocided them, right? They became refugees and they came to this place. Many of them came just because this was a place where they could, to some extent, feel safe. They didn't care about Zionism so much. The ideology didn't matter to them. My grandmother that came to Palestine from Syria, did she care about Zionism? No, she didn't care about Zionism. Her father saw that there was a lot of violence being turned towards Jews in Damascus, where they lived, and he was like, fuck, we need to get love. bunk out of here, otherwise we would be in grave danger. So they left a lot of, they had a comfortable life, they had a good life there, but they decided that they should leave at that point and go to the only place that they felt could be a home for them. They didn't care about Zionism. They didn't have this ideology in mind. They came to this place because they felt like they had to. And then they started, connecting with the project, because the project was like, come. Again, this is what cults always do. They take those who were disenfranchised, rejected from society, and they go, we will give you a home. But the only thing that you will have to give up is your soul.
Yeah.
Okay? And then my grandmother lost her soul. She could not speak Arabic anymore. She could not be herself anymore. And then my father became who he became, and I became who I became. And I'm trying to, reclaim my own identity, reclaim my own connection to the land. Where I am. Where can I reclaim my connection to the land? Where I'm not, I don't know.
There are many Palestinians who grew up in different countries and still say, I'm from Jaffa, I'm from Beresaba, or like this is part of the issue, right? Because like I don't know. Sometimes I have thought maybe I do need to go to my roots. Maybe I do. When this Palestinian told this to me, I was like, maybe I do belong somewhere else. Maybe this is, I don't know. I go many places with my thoughts. Like it is.
So here's
I recognize that it's a settler colony, right? And I think maybe I was displaced from Europe. The Germans told my grandparents, you're not from here, this is not your culture, and it's not fair because it was their culture. And then I was sent here, and they gave them this fake identity of Hebrew Zionist, and it was on the expense of the indigenous people. Maybe I should rediscover my roots, I don't know. But then I think like, why? I just born here. That's, I always come back to this, but like, I don't know. It's this complex, when you recognize the horrors of the Zionist project, you're kind of, so who am I? What should I be? What should I go? And I'm trying to make it not my personal question, the main issue. I'm trying to think, what can I do to improve? Would I improve the situation from here and resist Zionism from here? Or maybe it's better if I go and join the struggle abroad. I don't know. But there's a lot of things going on in my mind when I hear this. You must leave. You have to go, and all that kind of stuff. I wonder what people say here about it. You want to check it out?
I just want to say how I see some of it. Like when people say to me, "Go back to where you came from." This is something that I heard.
Yeah.
Even though I'm an active anti-Zionist and I'm trying to dismantle this project, sometimes I hear, go back to where you came from.
Yeah.
And here is my question. Where should I go back? I have one grandmother who came from Damascus. I have one grandfather who came from Warsaw. He was born in Warsaw, in Poland. I have another grandmother who was born in Palestine.
Yeah.
By the way, when it was still Palestine, she was born in the 1930s, when the state of Israel was established only in 1948. So she was around 10 years old when the state of Israel was established. So she is
Palestinian. Jewish Palestinian.
She will not admit it. She will not admit it. She will not embrace this. If I tell my grandmother, she is still alive. She is still with us. If I tell her you are Palestinian, she will be outraged. Okay, but she is. It's just a fact. Because she was born in Palestine. But her family came to Palestine from Belarus. Okay, a city which is in modern day Belarus. And the other grandfather, he was born in Zafed. Okay, but
so this is the real Palestinian.
He is also Palestinian. Okay. He is also Palestinian. He was Palestinian. He's not with us anymore.
Jewish Palestinian.
Yes, Jewish Palestinian. But his family came to Palestine from the Shiraz area in Iran. which part of me should go back where?
For you, it's even like, for me, it's easy. You can say Europe somewhere. You are completely, yeah.
But seriously, and also. So let's take this to the extreme. All humans, if you go back in their genealogy far enough, they are from some area in Southeast Africa, as far as I know, like the beginning of the Nile River, the origin of the Nile River.
Humans move, right? That's what we do.
Like, how far back should we go? This leads to so many contradictions. And this is why, in the end, all the thing, what I do is say, fuck all this shit. Stop all this nonsense. We are all from everywhere, and we all belong everywhere.
And we just need to learn to share wherever we are. And, and
like in kindergarten,
yeah,
we all need to learn how to share.
And that's what Muhammad told us from Gaza, right? We don't want to kick you away. But we want to share it with you. We don't want to be locked in a refugee camp that's constantly being bombed. What a crazy thing to ask,
It's so radical.
Yeah.
But another thing that I have to say is that the fact that someone is Palestinian does not mean that they are right.
Yeah.
Saying that Zionists say just because someone is Palestinian, it means that they are wrong.
Yeah.
But saying that just because someone is Palestinian, it means that they are right is just the other side of the same coin. And I think it's just tokenism and identity politics in its worst form.
Right.
When you are right, you are right. When you are wrong, you're wrong, and it has nothing to do with your genetic makeup or genealogy. It has nothing.
And also, it doesn't have. And also, it doesn't mean that if you're oppressed, like this woman that maybe told me you should leave, she's not right that I should leave, but she is a Palestinian and she is oppressed because she's a part of, and her oppression needs to end. It doesn't matter what she say, because a lot of Zionists say, you see, they say they want to kill us, and I'm like, okay, you destroy their life for many years. It makes sense that many people, the way I know humans, they're not when they're being fucked by somebody for so long, they usually don't put up a very complex arguments. They feel like, fuck these people who destroyed my life, That's...
Look at you, Mr. Zionist, who after October 7th, you said that you lost your compassion.
It took only one massacre.
Yeah, it took only one massacre in one day that made you lose all your compassion and justify, everything.
And how many October 7th people in Gaza experienced in their lifetime, from like they had in 2008, and then they had another one in 2012, and then they had another one in 2014, and then in 21, and each time it's like 100 or 1,000 people and civilians who've been killed, and that's only on that small time frame. If you put aside what happened before, like 60 years before that. So yeah, that's
we didn't get to the subject of what good people means.
Yeah, and we're almost to we're running.
We've been talking for over an hour and a half. Let's answer a few questions briefly. And
I wonder what people say about this subject. Yeah, actually,
Let me read some comments, okay? Oh wow. I don't even know which comments are. Let's see. I'm Palestinian from the West Bank. Please send us a message on Instagram if you feel comfortable with this. Please send us a message. We want to connect with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of random hate, but I think the view that we all can be equal in this land can easily prevail. I don't know about easily, bro, but I think it must prevail for any good thing to happen here, and we also support
no, but
this.
he's speaking from maybe knowledge of many. We don't know
Easily
enough.
prevail inside Palestinian society. Is this what you
I
mean?
thought that's what he meant.
Okay. If you mean this, then we would love to hear more about this.
But let's connect, sure.
Yes. Let's connect, please. Let's talk, please. You need to ignore those people. Don't feel defensive. These chats are mostly full of diaspora Palestinians and others. My guess, i.e., they have left. So what if they're diaspora Palestinians and if they left? Does that make their opinion more or less valuable? I don't know. I don't think opinions should be measured by what they are, I think, and not who is making the opinion. Like, okay, let me say something about identity politics, because it's something that repeats again and again and again. And I want to say, identity politics is something that I think came, like the origin of it, like many other ideas, the origin of it is good. We need, the point that I understand is that we need to look at where we come from and look at our own biases as honestly as we can, and not assume that just because we have a certain opinion, then this opinion can be objective. No opinion is objective. Opinions are always the result of the material conditions that we have been brought up in, and that we live in, and our material interests, and the way that we were brought up, and the ideas that we've been exposed to. And we need to look honestly at our own biases to refine our opinions and to make them more accurate and more connected to reality and to morality. Okay, this is, I think, a great idea, and I think that if someone says an opinion and you remind them that this opinion is very convenient to them because of who they are and their position in some system of a hierarchical system, this is a good thing to do, to remind them. But there is a parody of this that, unfortunately, like all parodies of good things, it becomes like the main thing that people talk about.
Yeah.
So the parody of this is where opinions are just measured by who is saying them. I think that this is just the opposite of what I said before. Is very refined, is very nuanced, and just saying that the opinions of people are only measured by who is expressing the opinion and their position in certain systems, hierarchical systems. That's I think a very superficial and just wrong thing to say. Okay. Oh, there's so much that was said. I don't think we can refer to everything. Oh my god. Oh wow.
That's a problem, huh? So many.
Yes. Eric, do you see anything that you want to answer?
If there's I don't see pretty well. Shit. It means
Hold on. Everyone should be allowed to live anywhere they feel happy and adjust peacefully to the environment they are entering. Colonization and alienation is wrong. Yes, that's a good succinct way to say what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Let me see if I find something that we can address quickly.
It's interesting, the comparisons with Canada and.
Yes. We must compare and contrast all the different colonial projects. Yeah, so again, this person from the Palestinian person from the West Bank is telling us, I'm sorry that people tells you to go back. I don't think this idea of kicking Jews, Zionists out is a prevailing idea. Thank you. And again, please contact us. We want to speak to you.
Do you have a way to contact you?
Please contact me on Instagram if you can and if you feel comfortable.
People here know your Instagram?
Yes, my Instagram is roble_viajero.
Maybe
ROBLE. I will write it in the chat.
But do you check your DMs?
Yes, I check my DMs. I don't answer everything because it's just too much.
But check it from once in a while.
Yes, I do check it quite regularly. Do you ultimately support a one state? I think not. Ultimately, we support zero states, right?
Yeah.
As anarchists, we support the idea that we like most is the zero state solution. No states at all for anyone ever in the entire planet.
But we said in the beginning that we understand that before that we will need a one state solution here. Like I think this question was.
Why does this shitification of all good things happen? Yes, that's a good question. And I think being radical means, one thing that it means is thinking as deeply and as honestly and as directly and as broadly about this question of why everything is turning into shit. What is the root cause of why everything is turning into shit? And trying to heal this thing that is turning everything into shit. And this is what we're trying to do, more and more and more in our activism. Okay, I think we are both quite tired.
Yeah. We wanted to record another episode tomorrow.
And yes, tomorrow morning we plan to record another episode of One State Solution after too long that we've been out of it. And it's getting quite late here in Palestine. So I think we will wrap this up for now. Elik, any final thoughts that you have that you want to share with the audience?
Thank you for being here and listening to us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will happy to meet Palestinians from the West Bank because I think personal connections and talking how we defeat this Zionist beast together, I think it can have a lot of power. Now we're too few inside, like among the Israeli population, but I think if people see more people crossing the lines and crossing, even when I was not so much into activism, when I saw people breaking these walls that are both physical and imaginary, there was always something exciting to see about it. And I remember I listened to an interview with Ilan Pepe that he quoted Edward Said, that he said, like, fate put us together,
That's true.
And it's like you can try to, and people resist this together. I don't like both siding it, of course. Zionists are obviously more the problem, but both people resist this togetherness. Palestinians feel like, fuck, these colonizers, they came on us, they kicked us from our land, now they want to stay here, and they will have to live together with these people, and Zionist wants to have this state only for us and to erase and they're scared and threatened by the connection of the Palestinian people to the land and by their their resistance and their and I feel like if we learn to create this what you talked about, sharing, it will be examples for, because there's a lot of problems everywhere in the world when people who, you know, Europeans are afraid of Muslim immigrants, and there's like, if we show here to the world, look, we can do it together, we can, with, in spite of like difference in religion or culture, we're still like know how to live and let live and share, and you know, so
but truly live and let live.
Yeah.
Not just saying the words, but actually doing it, you know.
Yeah, I
actually
think it could be a good example for all this planet that it can happen.
Yes,
and
so,
I'm sure it will happen at some point. It's just
it must.
It must. Yeah.
It must. At some point, we will have to learn how to live together, all of us.
Yeah.
So normalize crossing boundaries. Normalize, you know.
Normalize crossing boundary, not normalizing occupation and apartheid and genocide.
Don't normalize occupation. Don't normalize apartheid. Don't normalize genocide. Normalize cooperation. Normalize working together for a better future, but truly, not just in
normalize challenging authority and
Okay, guys. So thank you for joining us for such a long time. The 6th session of Revolution Live.
Thank you for hosting me in your sessions.
Thank you, Elik, for joining me here, and stay tuned for another episode of the One State Solution podcast, which we will record tomorrow, hopefully, and upload it very, very soon. And there are some exciting things that are going to happen on Elik's channel, Sound of Anarchy. We have a few episodes of Yalla that we're about to upload as well. Like, share, subscribe, all these things. What else do we? Oh, and join me tomorrow for another session of Revolution Live, which I don't know when I will do. It will probably be late because we have a very busy day tomorrow, but I will try to keep the streak going for an entire 7-day period. So thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you everyone for expressing your thoughts and for engaging in this fascinating discussion. So peace and justice for all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.